Hello everyone! Welcome back to another English learning video. Today, we are going to improve our English with a short and simple story. Read every sentence and repeat after me. This method helps you improve your listening skills and pronunciation. Listen carefully. Do not worry about mistakes. Are you ready? Let's begin the story. My name is Zara Lily. I am 23 years old. I live in New York. I love traveling. I love books. And I love romantic stories. This is the story about how I lost my passport and how that one small mistake gave me something much more valuable. It started on a normal morning. The time was 7:15 a.m. I was at JFK Airport in New York. I was going to the Maldives, a beautiful island in the ocean. Clear blue water, white sand. I was so happy. I had 1 hour before my flight. So I walked around the airport. Then I saw it, a small bookshop. I smiled and walked inside. I looked at the shelves slowly. Then I saw one book, a romantic story, a beautiful cover. But it was on the top shelf, too high for me. I stood on my toes. I stretched my arm, still too high. I looked around. There was a tall man near me. He was also looking at books. I said, "Excuse me, can you please get that book for me? It is a little too high for me." He reached up easily and gave it to me. I said, "Thank you so much." He asked, "Do you like romantic stories?" I said, "Yes, I love them." Just then, the speaker made an announcement. "Attention passengers, Flight MV501 to Maldives will depart in 30 minutes. Please go to the gate." I said, "Okay, bye." I took the book and walked away quickly. I was almost at the gate. Then my phone rang. It was my dad. My dad asked, "Zara, did you reach the airport?" I said, "Yes, Dad. My flight is in 30 minutes. Do not worry." My dad said, "Okay, good. But listen, keep your passport safe. Do not put it here and there. Keep it close to you." I said, "Dad, do not worry. I am not a little kid. You know how old I am, right?" Then I heard a voice behind me. The voice said, "Still 23, 3 more months and you will be 24. Right, Miss Zara?" I stopped walking. I turned around slowly. It was him, the tall man from the bookshop. I walked up to him fast. I asked, "How do you know my name?" He smiled. He put his hand in his pocket and took something out. It was my passport. I asked, "This is my passport. How did you get this?" He said, "You left it in the bookshop on the shelf. Please be careful. If this was gone, you had a big problem today. I said, Okay, enough. Thank you for giving it back, but I am not careless. Just then, the speaker made another announcement. Attention passengers, your flight will depart in 10 minutes. I said, I have to go. I walked away fast. I was almost at the gate. He said, Miss Zara. I stopped. I turned around. He was smiling. He said, Your passport is still with me. I looked at my empty hand. I walked away without taking it again. I walked back quickly. I took the passport from his hand. I said, Reading someone's passport without permission? That is wrong. Thank you. And I walked away fast. That was the first time I saw him. It was not a sweet moment. It started with a small fight. I found my seat on the plane. I sat down and opened my new book. Then someone sat next to me. A voice said, Hi. I said, Hi. I looked up, and I froze. It was him again. I said, What are you doing here? He just smiled. I said, Please, do not tell me you are going to the Maldives. He said, Yes. I said, Oh, no. I asked, What is your name? He said, Rayon. I said, Okay, Rayon, this is a long flight. No more talking about my passport. No more saying I am careless. Deal? He said, Okay, deal. I opened my book, but I was not really reading. The Maldives was so beautiful. The water was the clearest blue I ever saw. The air was warm. In the evening, I went to the hotel rooftop. Soft lights everywhere. The sky was orange and pink. The ocean was quiet below. A voice said, Hi, Zara. Rayon, again. I asked, Are you following me? He said, No, I am staying at this hotel too. Same flight, same seat, same destination, same hotel. He smiled and said, Do you want to have dinner together tonight? I said, I am not falling for that. I can take care of myself. He said, Okay, your choice. See you. And he walked away. That evening at dinner, I opened the menu. Everything was Maldivian food. Fish curry, tuna dishes, coconut rice. I never ate these before. I tried one dish, but I put my fork down. I did not like it. I said, Excuse me, do you have a cheeseburger? The waiter said, I am sorry, miss. We do not have that here. I heard a little laugh at the next table. It was Rayon. He was smiling, just a little. I looked away. My stomach was very empty. Later that night, I went back to the rooftop. The sky was full of stars. A voice said, Hi, Zara. I asked. "Are you following me?" He said simply, "No, I just wanted to eat dinner up here." He sat down and opened a small bag. Then I smelled it. A cheeseburger. Warm, fresh, perfect. My stomach made a loud sound. He said quietly, "If you want, we can share this, but only if you want to." I was very, very hungry. I said, "Thank you, I want that." We sat together. We ate slowly. I asked, "Can I know about you?" He said, "Sure." We talked about our lives, our dreams, our favorite things. Rayan was calm and easy to talk to. I said, "I really miss the New York Public Library. It is so big and quiet. I love reading there for hours." Rayan said, "You really love books." I smiled and said, "Always." That night felt very special. After that, Rayan and I spent every day together. Breakfast, beach walks, sunsets, so much laughing, so much talking. I was so happy. Then, one afternoon we walked near the beach. My phone rang. A hospital in America. The voice said something. I stopped walking. My face went white. My hands started shaking. My phone fell from my hand. Rayan caught it. Rayan asked, "Zara, what is wrong?" I said, "My dad, he is in the hospital in New York." I said, "I have to go, right now." Rayan asked, "Zara, right now?" I said, "Yes, right now. I am sorry, Rayan. I am so sorry." I ran to the hotel. I packed my bag in minutes. I got on the next flight to New York. I did not have time to say goodbye. 1 month later, my dad was okay now. He was home. He was smiling. I was so relieved. But every day I thought about Rayan. His calm voice, his quiet smile, the cheeseburger under the stars. I did not have his number. He was just gone. Then, one morning, my phone rang. The voice said, "This is the New York Public Library. You borrowed a book 1 month ago. You did not return it yet." I said, "Oh, I am so sorry. I will bring it today." I found the book on my shelf. I walked to the library and returned it. I turned to leave, but I stopped. My phone rang. It was my dad. My dad asked, "Zara, where are you?" I said, "I am at the library, Dad. Do not worry. I am not a little kid. You know how old I am, right?" Then a voice, quiet, familiar. The voice said, "Still 23. 2 more months, and you will be 24. Right, Miss Zara?" I froze. I turned around slowly. Rayan. He was standing there in the New York Public Library, smiling at me. My eyes filled with tears. I said, how? Rayan said, I came to find you. I only knew one thing about you, that you love this library. So I came here every day, and today I found you. One tear went down my face. Rayan said, I have something for you. He held it out to me. It was a book, a romantic book, a beautiful cover. And then I understood. I said softly, This is the book from the airport. I left it in the Maldives. I did not even remember, but Rayan kept it all this time. Rayan said with a small smile, You left this in the Maldives. I laughed, a surprised laugh. Rayan laughed too. I said, wiping my eyes, Maybe you were right. Sometimes I am a little careless. We both laughed, louder this time. And in that quiet library, something changed. Something warm, something beautiful, something with no name yet, but it was there. After that day, we were always together. We walked together, we ate together, we read books side by side in that same library I love so much. Maybe we were friends, or maybe something more than friends. The most beautiful kind of something, the kind the world calls love. I lost my passport that day at the airport, but I found something much more valuable. I found Rayan.